Perfect. So yeah, we have we've just gone through our safety tools. We've got our characters set up now as well. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go around and ask. I'll go around in character keeper order this time, which I think is almost the same as our video order anyway. But and just ask each of our players first just to introduce themselves. And then we'll go around again and do character introductions. So yeah, do feel free to introduce yourselves. And if, for example, you have any PBTA fantasy games currently in Kickstarter you would like to promote, then feel free to do so. So yeah, with that said, Leah, if you would like to start.
I'm Leah, she, her. I'm one of the co-writers of Back Again from the Broken Land, a game of small adventurers walking home from a big war, now on Kickstarter for Zine Quest. And in this game, I'm Laurel the Bell. She's growing like a weed with bright eyes, a stirring voice, and a warm smile. Shall I go over the gear too? While we're introducing her,
Yeah, actually, we can. You could probably just leave that for the moment. We'll come back to that in more detail. That sort of stuff in more detail, probably when we start fleshing out more about the village. But yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so just a very Ivy-like person, right? Like long climbing, places you don't expect her, hard to root out.
Great, awesome. Thank you very much. And Sabine, if you'd like to introduce. Also, I should say I have both played and run a bit of Back Again from the Broken Land. It is very, very good. So do check that out. Not that I imagine there'll be many people watching this, but if there are, then do check it out. Brilliant, thank you very much. And yeah, Sabine, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us who you'll be playing tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I would have played Back Again from the Broken Land if I hadn't been so planned out in January, I think, or it was 2 a.m. on a weekday in the morning. The Kickstarter anyway. So, okay, I have nothing of my own to promote, but yeah, I've backed a lot of Zine Quest stuff. Mostly the things that were promoted on the Gauntlet anyway. And some things that look like you could do Star Wars with them, which is always a delight for me. But I'm going to be playing Gryf Weaver. He, him pronouns. Uses the playbook of the Blade. He's a slightly awkward adolescent with wary eyes, studied calm and calloused hands, and I imagine he's a bit of an outsider in the village. I'll explain what my thoughts about that are later, but he's a bit wary. He's not used to trusting people, I think.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, and Anders, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us about who you'll be playing tonight.
Yeah, I'm Anders Gabrielsson, he, him. I don't have anything on Kickstarter. I will be playing Cari Tanner from the Loom playbook. She's seen as just a child with sharp eyes, a commanding voice, and unmarked hands. She's a bit more like a precocious child than a young adult or teenager. She's a bit prim and proper and a bit reluctant to go out on strange adventures, but she also wants to stick with her friends who may be a bit more adventurous. Yeah, that's about it, I think.
Awesome, thank you very much. So yeah, excellent. That's a nice little initial introduction to our characters. We'll learn a little bit more about them as we go through our next step. We will see the next thing we're going to do is to detail the village that you will all be living in. The village, as I sort of mentioned at the outset, is kind of central to the story, central to the game. It is it's your home. Very unlikely that you've ever been far outside it. At least elsewhere, sort of from here. It is probably not a perfect place, but it is, as I say, it is your home. So our first thing we'll be doing is going through and we'll be answering some questions and detailing out a little bit more about what you will all see there. Yeah, so the first thing is we need a name for this village. There are some example names in the list. So sorry, if we check out the village tab is where all stuff I'll be referencing is probably fairly obvious, but regardless. Yeah, I will go through. Leah, do you wish to choose a name for our village? As I said, there are some suggestions there if you want to pick one, or if you want to come up with something of your own, that is also cool.
I like Sindle on this list.
Sure thing. Yeah.
I'll make it bold. Maybe. Let's see if I can succeed. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So our next question is we will be getting a bit more detail about where the village is in the wider world. I will I'll go around in again. This one I will be asking each of you one of these questions anyway, or well, each of you the same question, for which you can give a different answer, I should say. I will start with you, Sabine. So would you like to pick a detail for where the village lies? There are some suggestions in that list there, but feel free to pick something else. Also, you should, in theory, be able to, if you see the map, the picture of the map there, if you click on the little 3 dots, you should be able to edit that. I'm not sure how this works with multiple people editing it at the same time, but I think we'll see if it works or not. It's not a huge deal if it doesn't, but if actually I'm going to be asking this to each of you. What detail would you like to say about the where the village lies, Sabine?
I have read those, and there was by the crawling sea in it, and if there's the possibility that things are by the sea, then they should be.
Awesome. If you want to draw on that map where you think the sea is,
I'll try.
Or at least, give an effort. We'll see how well it works. I meant to actually check in with Alexi because he had set it up so that like an image of like an actual shared file was visible there, but I couldn't work out how to get it to do that. But anyway, brilliant. And Andres, this village is by the crawling sea. Is there another detail you would like to add to that about its location?
Well, pointing to my background, I like to have some woods nearby, so cradled by woodland. And as I can't see any changes to the image, I'm not sure if Sabine has done anything.
I'm trying. I'm still doing a scene because that is not that easy.
Yeah, no. I just wasn't sure if I should. But I'll add some woods once the seas are there.
Yeah, no worries, not a problem. Leah, what's is there another detail you would like to add to the location of our village?
Absolutely. I'm going to add in a mountain shadow.
Nice, nice.
All right, get pumped, everyone. There's my mountain.
Wow, that's a nice mountain. I've added a few blue lines that are supposed to indicate that there is a sea. So I'm not good at
Awesome.
drawing seas. Not
That is
anything
fair.
really. Anything really. There is something that looks like a wave in here. Could be a wave. Looks, no, that's not a wave. Go away, not wave. Sorry. I'll stop.
fair.
I just stop. You know where the sea is from these
Yeah,
blue line, little blue lines. So
awesome. So I'm going to go around and ask. So yeah, so Sabine, how do you amuse yourselves when you're hanging out in the woods?
amuse myself in the woods. I think I kind of pretend, or I used to. I don't do that anymore much. That there were that some of the trees were my friends, and that I just maybe I decorated them a little or something like that. That's childish, of course, but kind of I have my favorite trees. Maybe one or two. Maybe there's a little grove that I have decorated.
Cool, I like that. Anders, what spooky story have you heard about the sea?
Ooh, spooky story about the sea. I think that the fishermen who have drowned or not come back from their fishing trips on the nights when there is no moon, they sail out on the sea, and you can hear them singing their sea shanties.
Awesome, thank you very much. And Leah, why do the adults say that you should stay away from the mountains?
I think they say that it's impossible to reach the top and that we shouldn't meddle with it. And even the foothills can be dangerous because what's on top can reach us. This is obviously to scare us.
Obviously, yeah. Awesome, thank you. I will go back around to Sabine for the next question, which is which great trees worship is neglected? And there are a list of trees there: peaceful willow, brash alder, steadfast oak, fickle holly, wandering elder, yew as still as death, wakeful birch, and gentle hazel.
Can I modify it a bit?
Yeah, sure thing.
I would say the worship that is neglected is the kind of the dancing oaks, because oaks, they have these branches and they always look like they're frozen in some sort of dance or something like that. Can look quite creepy in the twilight or in a fog or something, but yeah, maybe that's why it's neglected.
Awesome, awesome. Perfect. So, Anders, where do people meet and gossip? So you can choose one of the options, and if you want to mark that on the map, feel free to do so.
Yeah, one or two. I think on the village green, which is an area where a lot of people pass by, so they stop and chat and gossip. And at the Shrine of the Great Trees, before and after, and sometimes maybe whispered during services. People will share gossip and talk and socialize.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and if you wish to mark any of those on the map, feel free to do so, any of those locations. Awesome. So, Leah, what festivals does the village honor? And again, you can choose one or two here, or
Yeah,
anything of your own choice.
I like welcoming spring with drinking and weddings. Um, you know, and I feel like, the way this works is that there are always some weddings that are planned, and then, by the kind of end of the week-long celebration and all that drinking, often there's like at least one more wedding that happens that wasn't like planned or announced at the beginning of the wedding season. And I want to add in calling back the sun at midwinter. And I think that calling happens specifically through song in the middle of the night and the darkness.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So I think for this next one, I will ask this one around one each again, starting with Sabine. What attitudes do the locals cling to? So, if you want to choose one of these, or again one of your own devising, feel free to do so.
Sorry, I was muted. I think it would be that if that is okay with everyone, outsiders can never really be trusted.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good. Awesome. Anders, is there another attitude you think that the village clings to?
Let me see. I think your personal life is village business. and that's not like something stated openly, but everyone thinks they have the right to know what everyone else is up to.
Wait 5 minutes, and then I think you can bring her back down to me, and we'll see. I'm sorry it's so hard. But it sounds like, probabilistically you succeeded at putting her down for a nap. Right? Like, it got close enough that I believe if you did this repeatedly, it would work some of the time.
Awesome. Yeah, and Leah, is there one of those attitudes that you'd like to add as well? Or again, something of your own devising?
I was 100% going to do your personal life is village business. So let's see. Da, 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 da. Hmm. I think I'll invent my own here.
Yeah.
One of the attitudes. And I think it's going to be it's kind of I'm trying to put words to it, but like a don't meddle in anything bigger than yourself.
Yeah, sure thing.
Pick
Yeah.
problems your own size. Don't overreach.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's cool. Perfect. Thank you very much. So Sabine, which way and how far away is the nearest village?
I think the nearest village is if you're a strong hiker, I guess it would be you could maybe if you're really pushing yourself, you could be there in a day if you start early and arrive late.
Yeah.
And it is through the woods, I think, to the south. But usually people kind of make camp somewhere. There might be a hut or something, kind of lean to where they could spend the night, because this getting up early and arriving late, that would hold if the days were long enough. But I mean, you don't go out in winter anyway, but still.
Perfect. Thank you. And Anders, the last one, last of these initial questions. How are decisions made in the village and who's in charge?
I think there's an informal council of elders. It's not like there's always 12 people and you're picked to be on the council, nothing like that, but it's just the most important and or respected people, and you tend to kind of find out that you're important enough by people asking you to come to a meeting where they're going to decide something. The I don't know if it's called a priest in the game, but the person responsible for the religious services will probably nearly always be on the council, but not necessarily. Depends on if they're respected and if the other people think it's a question where they need to be involved, maybe. But it will be someone. A couple of people will figure out we need to talk about this, and they'll invite some other people, and they'll make a decision. And probably some people will be unhappy that they weren't invited or that someone else was invited, and that's all.
If you want a word that doesn't quite carry all the implications of priest, one idea I have is intercessor.
Yeah, sure thing. Awesome, cool. So yeah, we have our initial setup for the village of Sindle. So we're going to go just now around and ask a few more questions, just on like how your characters all fit into the village, and your family, and so on and so forth. So I'll go around. I'll go around and ask a question each, around a couple of times. So firstly, start learning names. Laurel. Where do you live in the village? Who with, and who, what's your sort of family? What's your family like here in the village? And I'm just going to grab some writing material because I find it easy to take these sort of notes on paper.
Yeah, I think I live relatively close to the village center. You know, and my family's relatively prosperous for the village. Let's see, what's a good like durable trade? I feel like my family are weavers, and my grandmother who lives with us, or sometimes it feels like we live with her, is on the Council of Elders. And I am the oldest of 4 children.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you very much. Gryf, the same question to you. Whereabouts do you live in the village? Who do you live with? Who do you think of as your family here?
I don't think I live closer to the forest, actually, to the woods. I live with my mother. My father was a sort of trader, I guess. He was a fisherman by birth, but he was restless. He wanted to see more. Like he went out and came back and did things like that. And in one of his travels, he came back with a woman who he claimed now was his wife. So okay, he was married to her, and they had a kid, and then he died of a fever or something. And now this woman is still living in the village. I mean, she's from 2 villages over, right? She's not a outsider like from a faraway kingdom or something, but still, she is not from the village. And so Gryf is not really, is he from the village? Who knows? He was born there, but yeah, right. And Gryf's father was reasonably prosperous, but that has been fallen by the wayside a bit. He had a sister, and she claimed a lot of the inheritance, and there was a bit of bad blood. And my mother now makes her living by doing basket weaving and stuff like that. And I help her out where I can, and help the village out where I can. I know how to make a basket, but that's not exactly my dream of a life that I would like to have. But can you do?
Sure thing. Excellent. Awesome. Thank you. Again, Cari, same question to you. Same questions to you. Where does Cari live, and what is her sort of home life like?
Yeah, since the random name generator told me my last name was Tanner, I guess I think my father is a tanner. And since tanning is a smelly business, we probably live on the edge of the village. I think maybe up towards the sea side. I seem to remember you need a lot of water for tanning, so probably by the river, and you don't want to live you don't want to be upstream of the village, or at least the rest of the village don't want you to be upstream of them. So closer to the sea. But I think my mother maybe is also a weaver. I had this thing. One of my items is a shawl she wove, and I think it would make for an interesting connection if she's also a weaver, so maybe works with Laurel's family. Yeah.
I mean, she could
Got
be
a
part
thumbs
of
up.
Laurel's family,
Sorry?
right? She could be part of Laurel's family. She could
Yeah,
have
yeah.
married the tanner
Actually,
then.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
I like that.
she's a so maybe she's
My
a
aunt?
younger sister of or actually maybe older sister, because I was thinking of being the younger child in my among my siblings, so it probably makes more sense that she's the older sister. Yeah. So I think our house is out on the edge of the village, but I probably spent a lot of time with my mother with the looms and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and if I believe you mentioned earlier that Cari is kind of quite prim and proper, so I imagine she likes spending as much time away from the tannery as possible.
Yeah, she has. I think she has like 3 older brothers, and they're all involved in the tanning business, and she wants nothing to do with that. And her father has plenty of help, and her mother is happy to have her around. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. Perfect. So yeah, I will go back around to Laurel and yeah. So where does Laurel go to be alone, and who does she go to with her problems?
I think she tends to go up to the roof of her family's house. So it's not totally private. But, if I'm not supposed to be, it's not a place you can go and hide from chores, but it's a place my family respects, especially, after the twins came, that sometimes I want a little space to be by myself. And honestly, sometimes my parents appreciate having one fewer child underfoot.
Yeah.
And I think when I have problems, I go talk to Cari. Our families are interwoven like warp and weft threads. And it's nice talking to someone who's like you but doesn't live in your house.
Yeah, and you're both of similar age, I believe. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome, thank you very much. Gryf, where do you go to be alone?
I think I go into the forest, actually. I mean, also I'm alone much of the time anyway, because my mother has to work a lot, and I take care of business around the house and try to get our sheep not to get lost in somewhere or wander off or something, or maybe it's a goat. That's a goat. Yes, we have a billy goat. So yeah. So when I really want to be alone, I'll just follow our goat up to the mountain, because I have to get it back, of course. Not that I want to be there. It's bad billy goat.
Perfect. And who does Gryf go to with his problems other than the goat? Or possibly the goat is the only person he goes to with his problems.
Well, used to be his mother, of course, but he doesn't want to add to her troubles recently. So it's probably not the goat, though. It's the tree. Also, that's a bit infantile, but he's aware of that. So that's not that childish, right?
Yeah. That's definitely how it works. Perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, Cari, again, some questions for you. Where does Cari go to be alone, and who does she go to with her problems?
I think she goes to not into the forest, but maybe to the edge of the forest. Like not quite in among the trees, but close to the trees. She tends to wander the village a fair bit. When she's not working with her mother, she's the youngest. They're a bit indulgent towards her. She doesn't have that many chores, so she tends to wander a bit. But when she really wants to be alone, she goes to the edge of the forest because most people don't go there. And who she goes to with her problems, I think she goes to the intercessor, because she's I think the intercessor is a woman, maybe, like an middle-aged woman who is kind but also very like traditional. She sticks closely to the teachings. So she goes to her and asks her for advice, and maybe hangs out a bit with her and picks up some teachings from her.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds good. Thank you very much. So again, I'm going to come back around to Laurel. What do you do for fun in the village? Possibly with the other characters. Possibly, something that you are particularly interested in doing yourself.
Well, I like to like weave things into the tree branches. And sometimes I do it with friends, or sometimes I like make something and then show it to my friends. But I like creating little works of art or little tributes to the trees with ribbons or twigs or anything else, and just finding the right place to put it.
Nice. Thank you very much. And yeah, Gryf, yourself, what do you do for fun? Again, either something you do just for yourself, or something you do with other people, or both, potentially.
I mean, sometimes I used to pretend that the billy goat was a dragon, but I don't do that anymore. Nowadays, when I do I mean, it's not exactly fun, right? If I'm with Laurel and help her weaving stuff into tree branches, it's just I mean, it's just being a good neighbor, something like that. But I really enjoy it. I wouldn't tell her for the world, but I really enjoy it. I think I like her. But in a totally.
I assume you like trees also.
I like trees. That is a fact. Yes, I will admit to that.
Brilliant. Thank
And
you.
I will have shown you the grove that I decorated and have asked you for advice. That was a bit earlier probably, but still.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Cari, yeah, again, same question to you. What does Cari do for fun? Again, whether that be just something she does on her own, or something she likes to get up to with the other characters, or again, both potentially.
Yeah, I think when she's alone, I think she carves things, maybe like little dolls or animal figures, and she sings to herself. With the other characters, she probably just tries to, because they're a year older than her, so she basically just goes along with what they're doing. She's happy to just join them in what they're doing. So probably joining in with this decorating the trees. But I think she also likes watching the younger children because she's still a little bit. She likes playing games with the younger children. She still enjoys the kind of playing hide and seek and that sort of thing. A little bit childish still, so she gets to indulge that when she's watching the younger kids.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So one of the things I will do in a moment, I'm not going to spring this one on you right away, is I might just come around and get a couple of names for some of the characters that's already been mentioned in passing as part of your character backgrounds, etc., etc. But I'll leave that for a moment so you can all be thinking on that. So sort of parents, siblings, and so forth. But so I'll give you all a moment to think on that. But yeah, so Laurel, has your advice ever gotten someone into trouble or gotten someone hurt?
Yeah, I think I told my younger sister, Ivy, that she just needed to stand up to a bully, and that as long as you weren't afraid, people would back down when they saw how brave you were. And the bully broke her arm.
Oh yeah, that's
And I
perfect.
think it hurt her feelings more because at first she felt like it was her fault for being upset, that if she had followed my advice, it would have worked. But, I realized afterwards that somehow my advice had been wrong, even though it seemed right at the time.
Awesome. Yeah, and Gryf. What's the worst fight you've ever been in? How did it feel to sort of be in it, and did you get hurt?
I think the worst fight I was in was with it's a bit of a story, but it was with a shepherd's dog, and that shepherd's kid liked to parade around with his dog, and it was large, and I pushed the shepherd's son. I mean, I was a child, he was a child, so we pushed someone, and the shepherd's dog thought I was attacking him, and that didn't end too well for me, because if that's okay with everyone. Okay, yeah, and I got bit. I mean, it wasn't life-threatening or anything, but I got bit, and I might be a bit scared of dogs ever since.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. And Cari, the almanac that you own, where did you get it from, and who owned it before you did?
I think it's been passed down on my mother's side, or maybe I got it from the intercessor. I think it was owned by an old woman who lived by herself, and when she died, some of her she didn't really have much close family, and the family she did have, they didn't want her, this old thing. They didn't care for this, so it ended up in the shrine, and since I spent some time there, I found it and thought it was interesting. So the intercessor said I could have it. So now I carry it around and try to read these old notes and things. And some of them I can decipher, and some are probably written in a hand I can't quite understand. So it's a bit cryptic, but yeah, that's how I came to have it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, Laurel. Yeah, you have a you have some silver about your person that's quite valuable. Where did that come from, and how did you get it?
I think it's from my grandmother. And she gave it to me, not really to spend, but just as a practice and trust almost. She says it's good to practice taking care of valuable things. And, she showed me, a kind of hair clasp she has that's one of the most beautiful things she owns, and says she had it when she was almost my age, and she's taking good care of it this whole time, and she'll give it to me if I can show that I can take care of things.
Awesome, yeah. Brilliant, thank you very much. And Gryf. So yeah, likewise, you have a spear. Where did you get that from, and how did you learn to fight with it?
I got it from my father because I think he was, I think maybe I'll rephrase the whole fisherman thing. I think maybe he was a person who, a wood warden or whatever you would call it, like somebody who would go into the woods and figure out but if people got lost or sheep got lost, stuff like that. The guy who you go to if you wanted somebody who had a spear, basically. Yeah. And I got the spear from him. How I learned to fight with it, I taught it to myself while pretending to slay a dragon, and not the billy goat, obviously, but because it's the only goat we have. But yeah, I'm basically self-taught. There is nobody who's, I think the people in the village aren't great fighters or anything. So there's no one to teach me.
Absolutely, yeah, no, that sounds good. Awesome. And yeah, Cari. Where was I? Yeah. How old were you when you first saw the Ungiven Future, and what did you see?
Ooh, I think she was very young, like 4 or 5 years old, and I didn't quite understand that I had seen the future, and I couldn't quite explain it or get a good. I couldn't explain that I had seen something that happened, or something before it happened. So I think I learned just not to talk about it. Because I think I tried to tell my mother, and she thought I'd had a dream or something, and was just confused about it because I was a small child. I didn't understand it better.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very
much. It was probably not something really consequential. It was like, yeah, I've seen that horse before when someone had bought a horse from the next village over or something. something very, very inconsequential.
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, and Laurel, when was the first time you got adults to listen to you, and how did it feel?
Uh, I think it was a time that another child, not one of us, had gotten lost. And the grown-ups had like done an initial search party and hadn't found this other kid. And they were all making plans and busy and rushing around and too busy to listen to us. But I'd seen her mitten when I was out with trees and like managed to get them to be quiet for a moment and listen to me as I like climbed up on a barrel and waved the mitten, and then I led them in the right direction. And we found her, there'd been a storm like in the hollow of a tree where she'd gotten lost and was hiding and taking shelter from the storm and didn't know how to get back to the village.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you. And Gryf, what's the most reckless scheme you've ever pulled your friends into?
Not usually that reckless, but I guess, yeah, that was when we were younger, right? And you remember the billy goat dragon we had to chase? Yeah, we pretended it was a dragon, and then someone yelled at it. It wasn't me, or maybe it was, I don't know. And then the billy goats started climbing the mountain because that's what billy goats do. And then I ran after him, and then everybody came with me because I said it would be fine, and kind of was fine, at least until the grown-ups understood that we had been up on the mountains, and they were not too happy about that. So I apologized profusely.
Awesome. Thank you. And Cari, what's the most hurtful vision you've ever had, and what is the sweetest?
Oof. I think the sweetest vision is myself older than I am now, tending a garden outside a very cute little cottage, like planting flowers or something a little bit frivolous, that sort of thing. And what was the word for the other one?
So yeah, it was the most hurtful and the sweetest for the
Most
two.
hurtful. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, that's tricky. Maybe no, I shouldn't use that. I think, yeah, let me know if this is okay or not. Maybe like a calf being stillborn, maybe. For a family, they one of the poorer families, they had one cow, and they were really hoping to raise that calf to just to increase their wealth a little bit, have something extra. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, I think we've got a bit more fleshed out from there. We'll take a bit of a longer break. So if we come back at 22, I will have some initial thoughts for a starting scene for you all, and then yeah, we'll have a little bit of play and just start seeing how some of the system works. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone. See you all. Yeah, just I said about 22.
See you soon. I hope Arthur doesn't get us into trouble.
Yeah, so we will start off with our first scene. So I think with our initial scene, so we see the village. We're kind of on the coastline. I see it being kind of quite a hard, like rocky, pebbly beach with a sort of fishing jetty built out of it. As you sort of kind of just at the edge of these big foothills going up into the mountains, with sort of forest going along behind you. That's probably used to make the fishing boats that the village uses. It's currently just coming over the hump of midwinter. There's still a lot of snow, around. It's cold. The snow sort of drifts up against the foothills of the mountains, and lies quite thick in the forest. You're not so far north or such a cold place that the little bay freezes over. That's still there may be a little bit of ice in it, but mostly it's warm enough that the fishing boats can still go out and ply their trade if it's not exactly the most comfortable of professions at this time of year. But I think as we see you all, you have for whatever reason ventured off into the woods. You're as I said, the snow here is quite thick, though slightly less so under the cover of the trees. So I'm going to ask Gryf, why did you bring Laurel out here into the forest?
Because I'm pretty sure that Arthur will have gotten into the forest, or maybe he will. Actually, what I just enjoy the quiet of the forest, and I saw Laurel kind of trying to avoid her siblings, and I told her that we could go into the forest and go looking for Arthur, because he might be there, and then he might be eaten by a wolf, and then where would we be? Also, Arthur might be a girl, actually, because he probably mostly keep goats because of their milk, but for some reason everybody seems to think he's a boy, even though we milk them, whatever. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Laurel, why? What had your younger siblings been up to that meant you wanted to sort of get out of it? And even though it's bitterly cold out in the woods, it was still preferable to being back at home.
I mean, I think the twins, who are relatively small, I'm thinking like 4 years oldish, have managed to figure out how to climb into the roof beams and drop on you from overhead.
Awesome. I like it. Cari, why did you decide to tag along with these two today as they ventured further into the forest? Normally, I think you said you tend to stick around to the edge of the forest, but what's sort of drawn you out there with them today?
I think it's basically just wanting to be around them. It's more fun than being inside and being outside by yourself when it's cold and wintry. There's not many fun things you can do. So when they said they were going into the forest, she just decided to tag along.
Excellent. So yeah, you've headed out into the woods. It's the wind's blowing quite sharply. It's, as I said, it's cold. It's not pleasant. Well, I mean, I suppose that depends on your definition of pleasant, but it's certainly cold. It's certainly there's a strong breeze. It's light out at the minute, but in that very gloomy, low effort winter light, not helped by the thick boughs of the trees as you're making your way through the woods. You reach the one of the familiar glades a little bit further into the forest, and you can kind of but you've lost sight. There's obviously been some recent, even as you've been coming in here, the snow's been starting to come down again. Some big drifts have like fallen down from the trees, obviously, sort of recently, and you have lost sight of the initial tracks that you were following Arthur through the woods by. So I'm gonna start with Gryf. How do you react to this? What are you gonna do as you sort of realize that, you sort of that you've kind of lost the trail, at least for the moment?
I mean, I didn't think we would find Arthur out here. It was just an excuse, right? I wanted to go to the forest with maybe Laurel, and then Cari came along, which is fine. But of course I will. I mean, there are no pretend tracks now anymore that I can pretend to follow. So I will maybe look around, see if I can find a deer's track or a rabbit's or something. And if I can, then I will admit that we have lost the track and maybe probably should go back.
Sure thing. So that sounds to me like you are giving your attention. When you give a fraught situation your full attention, roll with caution.
I also have the Guardian move, but I think that is not really applicable here.
Yeah, I think the Guardian is.
It's probably for a more dangerous situation.
Yeah.
More clearly dangerous situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You may get a chance.
Give it my attention. So it's plus caution. I think I have 0 in caution. Yeah. Hello, where are you? Okay, I have 0 in caution.
Oh, and if anyone needs it, there is a dice roller, which I'll put the link to. Or again, as ever, if you just want to use physical dice, that's also cool. I do not mind.
No, physical dice are weird. Physical dice are there to be collected and looked at and taken pictures of, but rolling them in a role-playing game, come on. Oh, wow, I've rolled a 10.
10, perfect. So on a 10 up, you get to ask 3 questions from the following list.
Oh, nice. So I would start with, what should I be afraid of?
Yeah, sure thing. So as you are like looking through the snow, As I say, it looks like there's been a bit of snowfall in here that's obliterated some of the tracks and stuff in the area. But as you're kind of casting around, you do notice, and quite recent as well, you'd say by the looks of it, given there has been some more recent snowfall, you'll see some very, very large paw prints. They look to be, you have some experience in this sort of thing. You spent some time in the forest. Your father obviously had some expertise and probably passed at least some of that on to you. But yeah, it looks very much like the paw print of a wolf, you would say, but big, very big.
Oh, okay, paw print. That is not so great. So how could I protect myself is probably the most reasonable. Or no, how can I help? No, how could I have two more questions. So how could I protect myself? And I'll start with that.
Yeah, sure thing. Realistically, the safest, the most certain way to protect yourself is it would be to kind of get out of here as soon as possible. You know, wolves don't tend to come near the village. It's not, it would not be normal for a wolf to come that close. Some of the outlying fields and stuff maybe, but not right up to the village. So if you just get out now, that's probably a way to protect yourself. In terms of like if you got cornered by the wolf, then yeah, probably getting up high is not a bad plan. They can jump surprisingly high, but still, if you can get a good way up a tree, that will be a way of getting away from them.
Yeah, the last one I would ask is how can I help Laurel and Cari to safety best? Hey,
yeah, that is probably a similar answer to the one just given, which is to say that you probably getting them out of the weird woods sooner rather than later is the best. So one of the things, though, you obviously are aware, if it's close by, there's a good chance it can smell you already. If like running and making a lot of noise, though, is probably not a good idea. That's more likely to attract its attention, and they tend to they have that chase instinct. If they see something running from them, they're more likely to go after it.
Okay, I will then alert Laurel and Cari to the fact that there is a giant wolf about. Not to worry, though. We are quite close by the village, and no harm will come to us. These wolves, they usually avoid humans. So don't shout and run. Just act normal, like you're not afraid of the wolf. Cool. It's not that big anyway.
Then I think we need to find Arthur as quickly as possible and get home.
I think we've lost the tracks. Oh my gosh! I hope that wolf didn't get Arthur. That would be bad. I just hope Arthur went back, did the sensible thing, and went back to the village. I mean, he might have. I'm just.
Look, if we've lost the track, we've got to just try something else. And I walk over to a nearby tree and I put my hand on it to ask permission. And I'm going to rely on superstition and use a little dowsing rod to try and find Arthur.
Awesome. I love the call on superstition move. So when you call on superstition, you choose your aim. For instance, revealing untruths, finding lost things, warming yourself, sensing danger, or other petty feats of folk magic. This sounds like a finding a lost thing here. And you describe the ritual or talisman that produce it, which you have done. So yeah, if you would like to roll with learning.
Yeah. And I think my learning, let's see, I think I put a 1 in this. Is that true? No, it's a 0. Fair enough. There are no 1s. Is that? Yeah, there are no 1s. All right, it's a flat roll. Let's find out. A 9.
9. Excellent.
Let me just see how this move works.
Yeah, so on the 7 to 9, it works. This you're kind of getting a dowsing rod to find something lost does work. So you that is a true fact. So you but however, it doesn't work entirely. So you get to choose one off of the list, and I get to choose one off the list, which are the effect is weak or limited. The effect is unreliable or short-lived. It exacts a price, which means you have to mark where, or it attracts unwanted attention.
I'm a simple woman. I'm a very predictable player. 100% it attracts unwanted attention.
Sure thing. That saves me from having to do so. And I think the one I am going to go for is that the effect is unreliable or short-lived. It's, we're not talking kind of video game style glowy trail through the woods. You get a vague indication from the dowsing rod, which is an accurate directional thing, but it's also a bit vague. It doesn't give you any sort of indication of distance or anything like that. But it does give you a direction to go in, and yet it does pull you a little bit further into the forest. It indicates that you will have to move a little further into the forest, but as you do so, there is a
I don't mean to interrupt you, but while Laurel is doing her dowsing rods thing, I think I want to use that move that I have, the Guardian move, and look for something I can use as a weapon, because I didn't carry around my spear or anything.
Sure thing. Absolutely. I think actually it's going to be similar. I think that you will find a stout branch that's fallen from a tree, but it's about it's about kind of that like a couple of inches thick. It's not as straight as a staff, but it is a fairly straight branch. It's possibly even just like a sort of smallish sapling that's fallen victim to the winter cold. But it will function as an effective staff, and you are just gathering that to hand as you hear a loud howl echoing through the trees close by, you think, and in that wolf howl washes over you, and as it does, you also just hear in the same direction and in the direction the dowsing rod is pointed, the sound of an agitated goat bleating in terror, anger. It's a ghost. It's a goat, who can say, but definitely it's some sense of distress over the presence of the wolf.
Okay, I'm going towards that because we can't afford to lose that gold, but maybe you get up a tree or stay around here, right? So you don't get in danger.
I think I want to. Well, I'm aiming to use pull the thread, and since I have these runes, I think, yeah, the tree runes. I think Cari has them in a pouch, like at her belt, and she will, because this seems like a dangerous situation, and she's not sure what she should do. So she pulls out a couple of the runes and tries to figure out what they're trying to tell her, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when you pull the thread, when you turn your gaze to the ungiven future, roll with learning. And then we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so that's 2d6 for 5, but I think I have a 2 in learning, right? Yeah, so it's a 7.
Excellent. So on a 7 to 9, you get to ask 2 questions from the pull the thread list.
Yeah, I think, where should I be to stop what's coming? And yeah, let's start with that one.
Yeah, sure thing. So you get the impression as Gryf is starting to move towards the sound of the howl. You actually think that the attack is going to come from the side, and you think that at the minute it looks like Laurel is in the most vulnerable place. So you would need to either intercede yourself in that attack, or try and get Gryf back to watch from that direction. But yeah, you get that feeling that the danger is sort of circling. The wolf is circling.
Yeah. Where should I look to help if I am desperate?
So you would, if you were desperate, you could try sending out a prayer to the trees and seeing if they would help you. But it's probably that you'd probably have to be very desperate to rely on that as your way out. You could probably find, there will probably be someone there'll probably still be some people working in some of the outlying fields. You could probably, if you were fast, you could probably run to get help from there, but it would mean turning your back on your fellows for now. But yeah, that's probably the most likely place for you to be able to get help at this time.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to turn towards where I think the wolf is going to come from, and we need to watch out. Wolves are tricky.
Yeah, I need to save Arthur.
Yeah, but I think we need to stick together. If we split up, it could come after come after us and attack someone else.
Well, look, you two stick together. Get up a tree. You be safe up a tree. They can't jump that high. So if you have a fire thing, you have all sorts of stuff. Cari, I know you carry around a lot of stuff. So maybe make a fire thing. I mean, you know what I mean. But I got to get there. I got to save my goat.
We're not going to leave you on your own to save Arthur. And like
It's danger-
before he gets to the, I'm like, you know, Arthur wouldn't want us to.
I look at you like, are you serious? I tell you, these are dangerous things. They are wolves. They can hurt you. They're bigger than dogs.
Well, how are we going to explain it when we find Arthur and, you know, he looks around in his little goaty way and you're nowhere to be found because you got eaten by a wolf?
I'm sure you can. I'm sure
you
manage.
Explain that to Arthur, Cari?
And then come along. I'm going. I mean, I'm running towards the bleeding goat because I can't stand here and debate. Hey, how do we explain things to Arthur if he's eaten by a wolf?
I'm right behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm following along as best I can and trying to basically look in every direction while I'm running.
We're your friends, Gryf. Friends don't let friends get eaten by a wolf alone.
Oh, great. So how am I going to explain it to Arthur that we all three of us got eaten? But I will slow my step a little so that Cari can keep up.
Awesome. Yeah, and Cari, if you would like to, I think if you'd like to, it sounded like you were giving your attention there. So if you would like to roll with caution.
Yeah, I have a 0 there, so it's a flat roll. And that's an 8. Let's see. And this is, I get to hold this or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fine for me.
As the situation unfolds, I think how should I protect myself or how could I protect myself is something I can ask.
Yeah,
right away.
This kind of goes with what what Gryf just said. But yeah, absolutely, fire. Wolves don't like fire by and large. A flaming torch would definitely be something that would help fend off a wolf if it came for you.
Yeah, then I just need. I mean, I can't just stop running right now to try to light a frozen tree branch on fire. So, but I'll keep it in mind.
Sure thing. Cool. So yeah, I think with that you will be able to make your way to where you heard the bleating. There is actually what you are confronted with as you break through the tree line, or as you approach the tree line, I should say, you may not be breaking it. Is you see there's like a essentially like a this used to be a similar sort of structure to the one that's further into the woods. It's basically an old cottage that's crumbled down through the years, made of stone. There's only a little bit left. There's basically sort of one big wall with a bit of a chimney on it still. Arthur has managed to climb up onto sort of the edge of part of the chimney and is perched up there, but pacing around, snarling at the goat is a large white wolf. It's big. It's bigger than any sort of any wolf you've seen, sort of brought in from the hunt before. It's that kind of like looking like a more the size of a sort of a small pony, and sort of huge across the shoulders. So its fur is pure white, clearly blend into the snow very, very well, with those deep orange eyes that catch what light there is and reflect it back. It is pacing, as I said, pacing around the cottage, but as you approach this place, its head perks up and it begins to sniff the air.
Well, there's no time like now to get eaten by a wolf, right? I'll brandish my branch and yell at it as loud as I can and charge forward before my courage leaves me entirely.
Excellent. So I think because you are the blade, I'm not going to ask you to make a stand fast roll first. I think we know of your valor already, but I think we will. This is probably just going to be a resort to violence. So resort to violence is when you resort to violence, choose one you hope to accomplish, drive them off, restrain them, hurt them badly, make them fear you, or take something from them. If it can possibly be done, roll with resolve. No matter what, it's unpleasant and intense, and you will be marking where. But you get to roll with resolve to see how this comes out. I am also going to, at this point, I will mention there's an aid move in this game, which is called Turn to Your Peers, which is when you turn to a peer to back you up before you roll. Say what support you want from them and ask if they're willing to give it. If they say yes, basically you get to upgrade the band of what you roll on your next roll by one success. But depending on what you choose, as that one of you has to mark where. But you do not have to do this, and I'm going to ask you, Gryf, are you going to try and get one of your peers to back you up on this, or is this very much you acting on your own?
This is very much me acting on my own. I would, if things go south here, I will. But right now, I'm just no. These I don't want them to get hurt or into a fight with the wolf. I don't want to get in a fight with my wolf myself, but I have to save that goat because sometimes that milk is all that sustains me and my mother, and she would be very upset if I lost it. So what I want to do is to drive it off. I don't need to hurt it or anything. I just want it to run away or leave us alone. Leave us Arthur alone. It can't bite me. No, it can't. I don't like to be bitten. Wait.
I am okay if you hurt the wolf, but not that you asked for Laurel's opinion.
Well, I'll roll then. Let's see how that goes. It goes very well. I've rolled an 8 and I have a 2 of resolve, and that is a 10.
Okay, yeah. So on a 10 plus, you get what you hope for. So you charge at the wolf, swinging this makeshift staff at it, and I think the staff connects with it right across the muzzle. It lets out a yelp of pain. And kind of scuts back a bit, and you can kind of see it coiling and tensing, ready to leap at you. You can kind of feel, even as it snarls, you can feel that sort of hot breath coming off of it, and you can smell smells like very intense. It's got an intense musky scent coming off of it, but it kind of looks to you, snarling, and then you can kind of see its like eyes flicker over onto the others behind. And while it perhaps doesn't assay them as much of a threat, it realizes that it is outnumbered here, if not outclassed, and it kind of backs up, like gnashing and biting as it does so to sort of keep you at bay. And once it gets to a distance, it springs and runs off in search of easier prey. But yes, you will mark one where for that. Yep, cool, excellent.
And I turn around and yell at poor Arthur, "You stupid goat! What did you think? You thought you could fight a wolf? Are you out of your mind?"
Arthur thought you could fight a wolf, Gryf. That was incredible.
I had a staff. Yeah. Let's just get away from here before it comes back, because I don't know if it has a pack. Obviously, kind of not, but let's not risk it. And I'll coax Arthur down the chimney.
Yeah, Arthur will kind of just hop off of the chimney and land neatly on the ground, and we'll just kind of like, turn around and just sort of start walking steadily back towards the village.
Oh, now you can walk towards the village. Of course you can.
And I'm just going to check in with Cari. Do you wish to ask your other question from your give your attention roll in the aftermath of the wolf?
I had a look, and I don't think there's anything obvious. I mean, what should I be afraid of? The wolf coming back seems pretty obvious. So
yeah.
I don't see any obvious questions to
I'll actually give you a little more on that, because I think you realize this, the wolf was driven off, but you think more by shock than anything else. It was clearly not, it probably could have fought you without too much. It was more sort of weighing up its options. But the thing you did get as well, the way it looked, the way it was kind of assessing the situation and stuff, you feel like there was almost like an intelligence to it. There was more than just pure like animal instinct there. For a start, a wolf on its own normally, it would have been driven off that easily, but it would have just fled from a group of people coming across it. This was clearly weighing its options and deciding whether to stand and fight. You think there's more to this wolf than meets the eye.
Yeah, I think while Gryf is berating Arthur for running off, I think I will, because this was like a tumble down cottage sort of. I think I will go inside just to see if I can find some piece of wood that's a bit more dry that I could maybe set on fire, because grabbing a branch from a tree probably won't work. It will be too cold and frozen and icy and whatever.
Yeah,
but if I can
that's
find something inside that I can light, maybe even a candle or something.
Yeah, I think you do maybe find like a very old and probably slightly rotten, but still largely functional tallow candle, sort of just like it's obviously fallen off of something at some point, and it's just sort of there. It's been significantly nibbled by rodents, but there's enough of it there that you could probably like essentially jam it onto like a bit of wood or something and use it as a makeshift torch.
Should I roll for this? Let's see, well prepared. Because I don't think I
No,
have
I
any
don't think so. For this is more because
Yeah.
you're just sort of like improvising from what's around. So no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You could obviously like make that roll to say, oh, actually, I have a lantern in my backpack or whatever. But yeah, no, that's for just
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like this. That's just yeah, that's fair. Awesome.
Excellent.
And so I think that's where we will leave things for this evening, with you trudging back through the snow to the village in the wake of Arthur. And we'll pick things up next time when you get back to the village. What happens next? With luck, hopefully we will also be introducing our door if Bodhi can make it next time, which will be cool. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I will pause our recording or stop our recording now.